Today I'm going to be going over the Boeing 737 Max ILS system, instrument landing system. We'll also cover how to use and set up the autopilot as well to get the ILS system lined up and activated. We're going to be flying out of North Island Naval Air Station, which is directly adjacent to San Diego International, and our arrival destination will be San Diego International. Our goal is to hit runway 9, which is headed east, and we want the ILS to land the aircraft on its own. So the first thing we need to do is we need to start setting up our avionics. But before we do that, let's just make sure we got some initial settings for our autopilot here. So in the middle of the panel there is your autopilot system. This is your indicated airspeed. This is how you activate it. Your heading setting there, your heading indicator, and this is altitude. So we're going to start our work at 5,000, and eventually we're going to descend to 2,000, which 2,000 is San Diego International's ideal altitude to approach for an ILS landing. So we'll start at 5, and of course none of this is going to kick in until we activate the autopilot system, which one of these two buttons here will activate the system. We're going to wait till we're in the air to do that though. Airspeed, let's just set that at 210, and eventually we're going to work that airspeed down to 180 and then 135, because I find that with this aircraft 135 knots is the ideal speed to get it to talk with San Diego's localizer or transponder per se, which that's the system that talks to the aircraft's ILS system to say, hey, I'm going to take over your aircraft and I'm going to bring her on in. Okay, heading, want to create some space. So we're headed 29. San Diego's runway heads 27, actually 275, which is pretty much headed perfectly west. So to create some space, let's just get this. So when we activate it, let's set it to go 250 degrees, 250. And you activate it with this button right below it. So autopilot is pretty much set up to kick in and ideal for us to start making our heading towards runway 9, which is headed east, the opposite direction of what we're taking off from. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get the avionics set up. We want to get the input for the ILS system input into the aircraft's avionics system. To do that with the what I'm flying, I'm actually flying using PC, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and to access the simulator I'm using the Xbox app system. So these procedures are for that setup. Okay, so first thing we want to do is we want to pull up the electronic flight bag here, which is this smart pad system, and I have altitude set here at 5,000 already. And we're not gonna fly a flight plan today. We're just gonna input our arrival or destination airport, which is San Diego, and I'm gonna use runway 09, and you can see ILS is already there set up. You can change that, like click and change, but it's already set up for ILS 9. So we have that input. Let's go ahead and send that information to the aircraft's avionics. Send the avionics. Okay, what that's going to do is activate the flight computer execute button here. It's going to light it up green. You want to take that, it's the second button down, click that to send that data to the flight computer. From there, we're going to input the airport's localizer's frequency, which is 111.55. That's the frequency that the airport's localizer or transponder per se talks to the different aircraft, communicates with it to tell it what to do. So let's move this over a bit here. I'm going to just punch it in with this pad here. I don't know what this device is called, don't ask me. But 111.55. Okay, and to input that, this little double arrow button here, click that, and that puts your input up there at the top. That's how you know you have the correct input in. Okay, so let's take that information that you just loaded and we'll click this data button here to the left on the control panel there. Click that. Alright, so avionics is all set up. The data is input to the aircraft system for San Diego International, runway 9. Let's go ahead and get ready to take off here. Okay, let's release the emergency brake. Full throttle up. She's most likely going to give me some warnings with the flaps and the glide slope. For some reason, with this runway, I've been getting those warnings. Okay, at 100 knots, we're going to start rotating her. She's there. Let's go ahead and start rotating her up. Landing gear up.
Too low, flaps. 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 Flight slow. Flight slow. Flight slow. Flight slow.
I don't know why she's giving me that warning.
Flight slow. Flight slow.
I just learned how to fly this airplane, so just bear with me.
Viper Whiskey 1, leaving my airspace, frequency change approved.
North Island Tower.
Yes,
Viper
tower.
Whiskey 1, frequency change.
Alright, I'm going to go to 10% on the flaps there. Start setting up the autopilot and get her kicked in. So, again, let's activate our speed indicator by clicking that button up and pressing the speed button. That tells the airplane that we want to do 210 knots. Okay. And let's get over here. Turn the autopilot system on. When we turn it on, we're going to hit the altitude level change button here. That's just activated. And then okay. So we got autopilot. That's going to start kicking in. Let's just put flaps fully up. So it looks like she's going to head downwards, but that autopilot will usually kick in. Again, activate the autopilot system over here and altitude level change button right there to get that going. Okay. Let's make sure our speed, I don't know why. Usually stays lit. So, okay, once she gets to the altitude, the level change will go off. So let's start looking, create some space here. Our goal is to have the aircraft lined up perfectly here at the first waypoint of the glide slope, heading, approaching the runway that we want to land at. So let's create some space here. Let's activate the autopilot heading system. Start creating that space to get that. Basically, we're going to do a full 180 degree turn to get her lined up here with the first waypoint of the glide slope. And our goal is to have the altitude, the ideal altitude, 2,000 feet, and the ideal speed, so that she'll talk it to the airport's localizer and start communicating with her. So let's start lowering our altitude here. Let's take it down to 3. And we'll get the vertical speed, just this wheel right here. Activate your vertical speed, which is the speed at which the aircraft will descend. Put her at -700. She's descending at 700 feet per minute with that, okay? And let's center this on our EFB so we can see better. Okay, the goal is to get her to come around here and connect with the first waypoint at the ideal altitude, ideal speed. So we'll create some space to make that happen. In the meantime, let's go ahead and take her down to 2,000. And negative vertical speed is already there. And let's start making that turn here. So get her turning. Start out getting her to 360 degrees. Headed north. You can see it's pretty cloudy out, so this is a good environment to show you why the ILS system is needed. They can't see it. They can't see very well. So you can see the aircraft's turning here north. Let's get her turning east. Start our approach there. Auto brake for landing, so let's set her to position 3. That helps the aircraft stop. Okay, let's begin to line her up there. Let's turn her 90.
25.
Airport's actually running 95 degrees. So eventually I'm going to have her in. You'll see this is 90. 95 is the actual heading of the runway. So gonna just get her over there, 95. So the next thing that we're going to do is when we get close, we're going to activate our approach system, which that tells the aircraft to talk to the airport's ILS or translocalizer to start telling the aircraft what to do. Let's turn her a bit right to get her, start slowing our speed to 180. Let's get this right a bit. 180. Go to 30% on the flaps. Okay. And then put it back to 095. Go back to 095. The heading. And she's ready to activate the approach system. So let's hit that and hope that she talks to the airport. That's a good indicator when the aircraft makes a sudden move like that. That's a good indicator that she's communicating. Let's hope she comes in. So let's get speed down to 135. Go full flaps. As you can see, full flaps is, it's kicking in. Airspeed's 135. We have the approach system connected. And this is our goal. Come in right there. So the only thing left to do now is to put our landing gear down. Right now, the airport's localizer or transponding system is talking to our aircraft, giving it instructions for speed, heading, and so forth. Let's put our landing gear down. Activate landing gear. This looks like she's on target, so we're getting a nice smooth glide slope descent. Let's hope Microsoft can get this, whatever this aircraft is, in our way. That's a
1,000.
live player there. Sweat Betty. Let's hope Sweat Betty gets off the damn runway. But if not, we'll just phase through her. I can see another airplane just kicked in, it's coming in. So we're probably gonna phase through some airplanes because again, I didn't cover in the ATC for this purpose. Looks like there's gonna be some traffic on the runway, but again, we'll just phase right through her and act like she's not there.
400. 300.
Microsoft is actually beginning to turn that plane away from us, so let's see what happens.
100. Approaching minimums.
Miss it
50,
anyway.
40, 30, 20, 10.
Okay, she's down. Pull the speed back. I'm gonna hit the speed brake. And I'm gonna start helping her brake some. Okay. So there you go. And that's how that works. So you got a bit of a lesson plan with autopilot, and then how to align the aircraft up and kick in the ILS, instrument landing system. Just bring the aircraft to a full stop. And get her off there, the runway here. So hopefully that gives some of you out there a good idea how to operate the ILS system for the Boeing 737 MAX without, hopefully I didn't make it too difficult, and I tried to be simple with my instructions there. So I'm hoping that helps some of you learn how to use the ILS system, at least when you're using the Xbox app through a PC. I don't necessarily know how to load that avionics system up without using the electronic flight bag. I'm going to eventually learn that. I wanted just to use the computer here, but I mean, the electronic flight bag is here for a reason, to make things easier for us. This system right here will talk to this system. So that's it for today. I'll see you next time with the next video.